Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Royalty Talks Boxing. Don't spit that everywhere, Arron. Will you got the camera in front of you? I'm Carl from Boxing Royalty, and this episode is brought to you by Andy Gilt of Old Boxing Gym, Hunters Weatherby, and Forrestal and Sons. I am joined by a man that's got many tales to tell, a good friend, a good trainer, a cutsman. There ain't much else I can say that will blow his mind up. It's Arron Woodcock. How are you, mate?
What's happening, pal?
You good?
All good, my brother, all good.
Busy in the gym? Very
busy. Yeah, snowed under at the minute. We've got March is looking like one of the busiest months we've had ever. I think we've got 6 or 7 fighters out through March, so all just entering camp now.
Stressful life.
Ready to rumble, son. Ready to rumble.
Well, I do work with Arron, but as you can see, the camera's slightly holding it. There is a BoxFit logo on that hat, so he is banned from Royalty Talks Boxing in the future. Right, Arron, let's get straight into it. Also, I've seen you on your IFL TV interviews and stuff like that. You didn't start off as a professional boxing coach, mate, did you, when you left school, left uni? Where did it all start for you?
Well, how far back do you want to go? So
you've left university.
So, yeah, I was at uni, and I was studying sports science and PE. Ended up rupturing my cruciate ligament in my knee playing football. And then sort of halfway through the second year, I was supposed to do a placement, and I wasn't able to do it because I was injured. So uni started to be a little bit of a slog, and started getting into playing poker. And I remember there was a couple of lads across the dorm from me. They used to run a card game, and I used to nip across there. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. Get involved. They used to pay for like £10 and £20. I could tell they were rubbish. Like, they was all getting pissed up and all having a laugh and that. I thought, do you know what? I'd always gambled anyway. Like, my dad was a bit of a gambler. In the pubs as a youngster, playing the fruities, and sort of at Christmas time with the family around, you play all the card games and that, save up my little pound coins and that to get involved with the adults. So I've always sort of had that little gambler inside me. So I went away. I thought, right, I'm gonna learn this game. So put some studying in, and it got to the point where we were playing sort of 2-3 times a week, just in the halls, and I was winning like 2 out of 3 times. So I was making like a few £100 a week from all the other guys in the halls, and basically paid the first 6 months of my second year at uni. And so from there, I started playing online, and I won a tournament to send me to the Caribbean. So off I went on my own on the plane off to the Caribbean, and ended up doing all right over there. Came back with a little bit of money. And I kind of was sort of having doubts about the uni thing. And obviously I was injured and I couldn't really progress with the course. They wanted me to delay the year, and I just thought, I can't be bothered for this. So I packed it all in and get all my funds together. And I started playing cards full time from the age of 19.
So how old? So you was around 19 when you were sent to the Caribbean then?
No, I was 19, yeah. I went to the Caribbean on my own, didn't know anybody, never really played at that level before. Yeah, it was all a little bit of a culture shock. But yeah, from there, I just loved it. Like I said, I've always been competitive. Growing up, I was a gymnast, sort of competed at national level, was ranked highly in the country. So I've always had that sort of competitive edge. And after I stopped playing football, after my knee, the poker just sort of filled that void in terms of being out there, competing against people, wanting to be the best, pushing myself. And I ended up playing cards for a living up until really, I think I was 28, 29. So the last sort of 5 years have sort of come out. I still do play, but sort of made the transition from cards into boxing about 5-6 years ago.
So what was life like as a full-time poker player? How was that?
You know what it is? When you speak to people and you say, oh, yeah, I'm a card player, or I play poker, soon their first thing they think is, oh, he's got millions of pounds and he plays in Vegas and the bright lights and all this like luxury lifestyle. It's not. Yeah, don't let him look at this geezer.
Who's that?
1 second. Mitchell Smith. Go on, son. Josh.
Exclusive phone call here with Mitchell Smith.
What's that? Nah, nothing. I'm in the middle of doing a podcast with old royalty, and you've interrupted. Speak soon. Yeah.
What a guy.
What a guy. Yeah. So where were we? Sorry.
The life you have, so it ain't the luxury life that people see it
So
as.
people think like, as soon as they hear card player, they think, they look at the movies and all the things they've seen, and it's not like that at all, man. It's a lot of long hours, not a lot of sleep, up all night, sleep all day, antisocial hours, dealing with gangsters, scummy people, like everyone's trying to rob you and stab you in the back and get one over. And it's not a nice world, man. It's not quite like the boxing world, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say. So give me if you can talk about your scariest experience as a poker player.
Playing poker, the scariest experience in terms of what?
Like you genuinely felt threatened for your life.
Do you know what? I never really felt threatened for my life, like in that terms. But I played in some really dignity places where you're just like, do I really want to be here? But in terms of like feeling nervous and stuff, I played the main event in Vegas multiple times, which is like a $10,000 buy, and made day 3 or 4, couple, I think 2017 or 18. And I was all in. I had a set, which is, I don't know if you play poker, but I had 2 4s in my hand, and the board was like 4 Jack 10 or something. The guy got it, and he had a flush draw. This was like huge chips on like day 4. The main event's like 8 million to the winner or something stupid. Ended up making a flush, and I busted. Yeah, so that was like one of the sickest feelings that I've been through in terms of cards and stuff. But do you know what? I'm completely numb to it now. Completely immune. Poker sort of made me very, very numb to life situations now, which is good on some things. But if you speak to my wife, I'm sure she'll disagree with that.
So speaking of your wife, obviously, I know you've been with her a while now. Was she on the scene when you was playing on the tour?
Yeah, so I've been with Kel now since we were like 21. So she put up with an awful lot. Yeah, poor bird. Yeah, I've put her through it. Like I remember, not long from when we got together, I used to run a company called the Poker Farm. So we staked online poker players, and we had offices in London, Costa Rica, and South Africa. So I had a call from the guy who funded the company, and he's like, South African office isn't doing very well. I like to go out there and I ran the London office with another guy, go out there, get rid of the players that aren't doing well, just kind of like put it into ship shape. You got to go out there for 3 months. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like at that time we had our eldest, and I was just like, what do I do? The money was really, really good. So 10 days later, I'm in South Africa on my own, left her at home, which obviously was difficult. But yeah, so that was the thing. When we had more kids as well, now I've got 3 boys, the lifestyle as a poker player is so difficult. Like I said to you, it's late nights, sleeping all day, you're monged, like you're always tired, you're always irritated because you've either won loads of money or you've lost loads of money, or you're sleep deprived, or you're thinking, where's the next game? How am I going to win my money back? It was, I don't think I'd ever go back into playing full time. I play it now and again for fun and stuff, if there's a good opportunity. But I think the days of being a career poker player are behind me.
So what about, let's talk worst situation. You never met Kel, your missus.
Yeah.
Right. Would you still be playing poker now, do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Or somewhere worse. Like you can only sustain that life for so long. And when you've got no responsibility, like I know a lot of poker players or just gamblers in general, they have no kids, no partner, and it's just
don't end well.
They're either in the gutter or they've got everything, which is it's a strange way to live. And obviously, when I had the missus and the kids and stuff, I always had something restricting me to bring me back to sort of normality, which was nice. But on the other hand, that did restrict how well and how far I could go in the game, because, like I said to you, a lot of it is traveling. I've been to the Caribbean, been to Vegas. Been out to Spain, been out to Barcelona, been out to Monaco. All these places that we were traveling to, you're taking a week out of your life every time. Yeah, it just became very, very, very difficult. And it actually got to the stage where I just wasn't making any money. It got to a stage where I wasn't enjoying it, but I was doing okay. So I kind of was just like, well, what am I going to do? Go and get a job? Never had a job. I left uni and played cards. I've never been employed. Never paid a pound in tax. Never done, because gambling, you don't pay tax on gambling in the UK. Never had a job. What do I do? I'm 30 years old. And it got to the point where I was making money, but I wasn't enjoying it. But then quickly slid into, I'm not enjoying it, and I'm actually not making any money. Which kind of came to the reality of it's probably time to find something new.
That's crazy, isn't it? Because I know what you're saying. Obviously, when I was on the tour playing darts, obviously I was backed by a lot of big people in the sport. You know, Bristow formed what the darts is now, the PDC.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would have a lady, I'm not going to mention her name, but when you play the floor tournaments in the PDC, you imagine York Hall, for instance, and all around the perimeter there was like dartboards, and then 10 meters back there was fencing. And this fucking woman that Eric had hired to manage me would just stand over my shoulder every game. Do you know what I mean? If I drank 3 gulps of a beer before my game, you should only be having 2. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always performed so much better when I had a local guy, one of my granddad's friends, was paying my entry fee to the tournament and just letting me do what I wanted with the winnings, rather than wearing 6 sponsors and having a management company. So I do understand the pressure. And, you know, I say the same. All right, look, I broke my hand, and God knows where I'd be if I didn't. But I don't believe I'd be doing it. And I'm a firm believer in things happen for a reason. And obviously, I'm now the happiest I've ever been with Boxing Royalty, and I've met some great people in the sport. So that's a mad story. You know, when I first spoke to you a few weeks back, and you said to me that story, I was like, "What the fuck?" But
yeah, it's a different lifestyle.
It's not poker Azza, it's boxing coach Azza, A-star cup work. Talk to me about your route into boxing as you've gone from the table to the ring. What happened there?
So at the time, I think I can't remember what year it was, 2016, maybe 15. I had a poker club. So the local poker club I was running, I owned a poker club, and we were playing poker games. I wasn't really playing that much, but I was running games. And the lifestyle was messed up, started putting on weight, etc., going down the wrong road. And we went to watch a charity fight. My missus, his friend's husband, was doing one of these like charity fights for cancer research. So we went in, everyone's had a few drinks, and he won. It was a good night. And a couple of weeks later, I received an email saying, "Thanks for signing up for UWCB charity." I was thinking, I know I had a few beers, but I know I definitely didn't sign anything. Like, you know, I'm pretty sure. So as it happens, she signed me up, didn't she? Yeah. So they come round with these clipboards. She's put my name down with the info on. And anyway, so I thought, you know what? I've always been into boxing. Played football as a kid. A couple of friends, I think for about 6 months, we trained at Finchley. Never had any bouts or anything like that. But we sort of went, they had the carded session, and then it was kind of, they'd done like a, can't remember, it was like, I've got a fucking certificate somewhere. It was like a course they were running. And Joe Smythe Sr. took it. And I sort of got my little gloves award and that from Finchley. Thought it was the bollocks. I wasn't. I was useless. And so I thought, you know what? I've always been into boxing. I'm a big boxing fan. I'm just going to give it a go. What? I mean, I lose a bit of weight, get fit, raise some money for charity. So nothing to lose. So I got in there, knocked the geezer out. And I thought, oh, I like this. Yeah, this is fun. I enjoyed it. It was the first like, real buzz I'd had sporting-wise for probably 6 years. So I stayed on, had a number of other fights, and then ended up sort of not being able to fight anymore. Bad shoulders, years as a gymnast. My whole body's in pieces now. And started helping out with this UWCB on a couple of days a week in Watford, just to keep around the sport, really. Because it was good for my mental health. And ended up sort of getting a circuit, a group of unlicensed fighters, on the little circuit. I had 5 or 6 of them that would go out fighting sort of every 2 or 3 months. And sort of went from there, really. And never really thought about being in a professional boxing coach or in the professional game or anything like that at all. It was kind of by chance, actually, how I sort of made it into the professional ranks. I was looking for a gym to open just to train the unlicensed fighters, or to work from the place that we had in Nomads in Edgware. We kind of outgrew it. So my mum's an estate agent. She was looking for a property for me to rent, and ended up talking to a local estate agent and said, "Oh, my son is opening a gym in Bushy." So anyway, I got the number, called. Anyway, lo and behold, it's Mr. Josh Burnham. I was like, what a small world. Because previously, when I was fighting, I was training with Danny Oliver down at Punch London, which is Don's old gym, which is in Malil. And Josh was a trainer. I think he was probably still a pro, actually, when I first went to Punch. And he was kind of in his transition from fighting into coaching. So I knew Josh anyway. I was like, wow, this is small world kind of thing. It was relatively local to me. So I went down, met Josh, and kind of come to agreement I could just use his gym a couple of times a week just to train my unlicensed fighters. And then from there, we grew and sort of got close and got out on the scene. And he kind of sort of said, well, why don't you go and get your license? Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of pros here I could do with help in the corner. It's sort of the logical next step if you wanted to stay in boxing. And by that time, I'd taken a step back from the cards, started doing, I've done a few like PT course and a boxing course just to get my insurance. And yeah, he said, why don't you do it? Why don't you go and get your seconds license? And do you know what I mean? You can come help me in the corners, get some experience behind you, and eventually, if you wanted to, you can get your own pros, get your own fighters and stuff. So that's kind of where the journey started.
It's crazy, isn't it? Because you talk about you've gone from playing poker to knocking someone out to having X amount of fights to then still to this day not having a job. Do you know what I mean? I know a boxing trainer is a job, but you've not been a registered employer. You've not received a payslip in your life.
No. Well, now I do. Obviously, I'm involved in jab boxing. I manage the gym for Josh now, so that's kind of evolved from being in the gym. That was the first time I had to register. I never. Last year was the first time I ever filed a tax return. That was a shock. I never received a voting poll thing. Never. That was a ghost, really, which had its downfall because I was like I said, a complete ghost. Couldn't get a phone contract in my name. Couldn't get credit card. Couldn't get anything. I had no credit file. It was So my life's been a bit of a blur, bit of an upside down one.
You've lived a life that not many people have. And a lot of people will listen to this and think, man, I wish I had that guy's life. But as you said, it isn't what people see. A lot of people look at me and they think, oh, he's a full-time murderer. He sits at home a print shirt. No, I don't. I do my 36 hours a week at work. And when I'm not at work, I'm in a gym or I'm trying to see my girlfriend. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah,
so it's a crazy thing. So talk to me about, obviously, you've got your seconds license.
I didn't even get my seconds in the end because I thought, right, if I'm going to go, I'm just going to go and sit and go for my full trainer seconds license. So I just sat and went for my full trainer seconds. I didn't actually get it on the first time,
Oh, really?
Nah, I went in completely sort of probably a bit ignorant to the scenario. I hadn't been in professional boxing, so I didn't really understand. I didn't know. I was complete sort of novice. So I sat down thinking you would just go in. It was more like I was told by somebody it was more like a character reference just to see that you're not a numpty and you got the best interests. Didn't read the book enough, which is my biggest downfall during the thing. And Mick just ripped me to shreds. I don't know. People could probably relate. Mick's a wicked bloke, but Mick Collier. But I sat the board. And you go in there, and there's this big round, big table, and there was Mick and a couple of others from the board, and then all of a sudden it's just everything's on you, and he just sticks it on you, and you're sitting there, you're in a suit, you're sweating, you're like, oh my, you've got dry mouth. It's I really don't want to be here, man, and he's just pressuring you. He's like, right, get out of the room. Got out for the first time. I felt like my dad had found you smoking or something, and he was telling you off. I thought, oh, this is horrendous. And you got the rest of the guys who obviously are sitting outside waiting to come in for their interview, and they're all looking at you fucking hell, this geezer's in bits. Anyway, he called me and he was just like, "Listen, you're not ready." And he was right. I wasn't. I was a bit gutted, but in hindsight, they would have been mental to have just granted me a license to just send me off into the boxing world and say, go on, son, good luck. So in hindsight, they were completely correct. But I went away, and this was before I met Josh. So while I was fighting, I was just like, like when I was doing the unlicensed stuff before I moved to Josh, I just went randomly to sit it, thinking it was just going to be a piece of piss, and I had a rude awakening. And that's why when Josh said it, I was a bit like, I've already been my ass handed to me once. I don't know if I fancy this again. So I was putting it off for ages, and then I was working with one lad, Reece Ince. He was a good fighter, man. And through the unlicensing, he wanted to turn over. And at the time, you didn't need to have England bouts. Now, if you haven't had any England amateur bouts, they won't even look at you. But he sat the board and they referred him for a trial. And he got his license. So I was like, right, it's probably time now that I'll go ahead and get my license to support his career. He didn't actually end up fighting for a number of reasons. But yeah, that's what gave me the motivation to go and get the license.
Talk to me, obviously. I know your first, we'll talk about your stable in a minute, but your first venture on your own in a corner was with one and only Obi Egbenike, wasn't it?
No, second. On my own? Yeah, we had Mitchell out before that, yeah. Okay,
so we'll talk about Mitchell shortly. That Obi fight was a big fight for you to go on your own, you know.
Well, what? Yeah.
On your own as well.
Yeah, like I had Duncan, who is Obi's S&C coach. He was there also, but I'd never met Duncan before. Obviously, I know Obi, but he hasn't been in the gym long, only 6 months or so. And obviously, he's not my fighter, he's Josh's fighter. Josh had other commitments, obviously being part of the team. He sent me down to York Court with Obes. And yeah, do you know, it's a weird one because when you haven't worked with somebody and you haven't studied the opponent and you're not looking, you haven't been working on a game plan and whatever else. It was just making adjustments live based on what Josh had sort of put in my brain and sort of watching what they've been doing, and just trying to go coach him through the fight really. But yeah, he boxed well, didn't he, Obi, that day?
Big fight as well. It was an English.
Yeah, fight, it was English eliminator first.
Fighter.
What's that?
He was the away fighter.
He was the away fighter on a Goodwin show, yeah. And yeah, it was a lot of responsibility. Yeah, certainly didn't want to report back that sorry, mate, but we fucked it here. Yeah, he boxed beautifully, man.
No, he did. He looked very good. And, you know, he took a few people there, and obviously there's news coming on him, and I can't wait for the future for Obi.
Good lad, Obes. Good lad.
Yes, very good. I think very highly of Obi. And as well as Josh, you know, Josh is, as you said to me before, he was a very good fighter. And obviously I've seen you look at the names he worked with. You know, you mentioned Baluta, there's Ollie Duffy. He's worked with Tom Little, who we will speak about again in a minute, because you were mugged right off at fight camp for Tom Little, weren't you? But in fact, let's just go straight onto it. So I want to talk about a nice memory you have when someone was sparring Joe Cordina. And for the people listening, I think grab your drink for this. This is quite a funny one.
What, the Baluta story?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Baluta, but doesn't talk the best English. And even Josh, I mean, him and Josh have sort of worked this strange language where he kind of understands what Josh is saying now, and he gets through to him. But I can't remember why, but I took Baluta down sparring in Matchroom with Joe. And obviously, again, I've never, ever done anything with Baluta. Do you know what I mean? Although me and Josh are a team, we support each other and we'll do each other seconds and stuff. And if we need to fill in, we will. But we work with our own separate team of fighters. So we get there, and I think they're 3 or 4 rounds in. And obviously, I'm not trying to coach him. He's not my fighter. I'm just trying to little things that I see, just maybe try that, or he's catching you with this, do this. Yeah. He's responding at least. Yeah. Next round, his yeah. Aqua. Give him his wall. So we get to round 4 or 5, and I'm thinking, he's not listening to me. Yeah? I thought, I'm wasting my time. I'm like, right, I'm going to put this to the test. So in the round 5, came, I had the water ready, gave him the water. And I said, listen, when he does this skibbity butt inside with the upside down with the skip, do that. He went, yeah. At that point, I was like, I'm just a water boy today. and that's okay. Like, he was competitive with Joe. They had loads of good spars actually. But yeah, he was answering me with yeah, but actually wasn't listening to a thing that I was saying. So yeah, quite quickly realised that trying to get through to him for the remaining 3 rounds was a waste of time, and just let him sip on his water and pat his back when he gone back to the corner.
What's it like cornering him then? Because I know you obviously with cut work. What's that like? I know you told the story.
Horrendous. He's only had 2 fights with Josh. I wasn't at the second one because I was with Odes. The first one when he fought Brad Foster. So he's very, very tranquil, as he likes to say. Yeah. He's very, very calm until he gets in the ring. Then he's a psychopath. So obviously, like, very big fight. Loads of Foster fans there. It was a pretty hostile environment.
I remember watching it on telly.
And he didn't want to sit down. So I'm in the corner. Thankfully, he wasn't cut, or he didn't have any sort of abrasions or any bruising or anything. But obviously, between the rounds, I'm trying to get in, clean him up, pass his face, pass Josh the water and whatever else. And he just wouldn't sit down. From round like 3 onwards, I was like, sit down. Whilst Josh is trying to give him instructions in whatever language these guys have made up together, it got to about the 7th. And eventually he's like, all right, I'll sit down now. But he was sort of looking around. He was like buzzing up. I think it was round 8. I literally had him in a headlock. Like this. Bassing his face like, sit the fuck still, you little like. Bassing his face. He can't move. Josh is looking at me. Bananas, man. Bananas.
He done well that night. He done really well, didn't he? He done well, didn't he, that night?
It's a really scrappy fight, that. Like, it's frustrating because he's actually a lot better than what he showed in the Foster fight, and a hell of a lot better than what he showed in the Davies fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what happened. I wasn't there that night, but everything he was sparring really, really good opposition. And it just didn't, for whatever reason, just didn't come together. But yeah, he's got a big fight next also. So I'm not sure if it's been announced yet, so I won't say.
It was today, yeah, it was. It was on
Was it announced today, yeah?
Andrew Kane, wasn't it?
He's fighting Andrew Kane, which is a tough fight. It's a winnable fight. It's definitely a winnable fight. I think it's going to be firework. He can't not be with them two. No, that's gonna be a proper barnstormer, that fight.
So, yeah, as well, wasn't he?
What's that?
Sparring Razor as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he actually done rounds with Razor today. Them two, I tell you what, I'd love to see that fight in the future as well. Honestly, those rounds. I saw Razor walk in the gym today. I had a couple of hours off. I pulled up my little chair to the side like that, sat down and thought, this is a good 6-8 rounds that we're going to enjoy. And they just went at it. Those two are good. I like Razor. Razor's a savage as well. Yes. He's like the most humble man outside.
We're here. Your first ever corner. Yes, talk to me about that.
Pro corner was on a Matchroom behind closed doors COVID show at Wembley Arena.
Okay.
So I've just got my license, and Josh goes, brilliant. You can come and help me with Jez Smith, who fought. Who did he fight that day?
He fought that Fields.
Ben Fields. Is it?
Yeah, the tattooed guy.
No, it's not Ben Fields, is it?
No, the tattooed guy. He boxed, didn't he?
It's Ben something.
Yeah, he was with that guy that Crawler beat.
Kieran Farrell was his trainer.
Kieran Farrell's fight. Yeah.
I can't remember his last name. Anyway, Jez done a number on him. I didn't actually do Jez's corner because they had Jez and Tom Little was fighting Babbage. So they had Jez back to back with Tom. So, and obviously, Jez, as far as we saw, the bookies had just like 6 or 7 to 1. We saw it as an easy fight. Couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? He got an late opportunity on Matchroom. I think it's probably still on Sky back then, wasn't it? I doubt it was the Zone.
Yeah, it was Sky. I remember watching
it. Yeah. Fucking hell, we've had a touch here. So I was just in the change room with Tom, just keeping him calm and stuff and making sure he was okay while they were out there. But yeah, my first ever corner was with Tom Little against Babbage. And that was an eye-opener, because there was no crowd. Obviously, heavyweight fight. And just hearing those little 10-ounce gloves just echoing, mostly off Tom's head. Sorry, bro. I love you, Tom. But they were. That's when I got the first realization of fucking this is a brutal sport. This like thrown right in the deep end on the TV. We're having the big visors, the big masks on, and well, that was a good experience. Obviously, I sort of skipped like the York Hall, small hall show stuff straight to Matchroom, and a TV.
Where you had to do COVID tests as well.
We did, mate. Yeah, I know where you're trying to go with this.
I think you should let us all know what I'm referring to.
So these fuckers, right? So obviously, I didn't really need to be there. Josh gave me the leg up, like first show, come for the experience. Obviously, it's like 4 or 5 days in the Hilton in Wembley, in the camp. Like it was the sickest thing, man. Like unreal the way that Matchroom done that little show, man. You had a games room, you got fed all the time. Like they built a gym basically in one of the. It was brilliant, man. Wicked experience, but obviously COVID's rife, right? And the rules were if you go in, this big tent like someone's been murdered, they stick you in. And back in the day when it first come about, they done the nose and the throat. Yeah, I mean like up the nose into your brain. It was horrendous, and then in your throat. So what I done was I thought I don't want to fuck this, right? So I went and got a private test done a couple of days before, and then basically isolated myself before we went in the bubble. I thought last thing I want to do is get positive test and fuck it for everybody. Because if you come in, whoever's in your team, if one of them got tested positive for COVID, everybody had to leave because obviously they assume you've been together, right? So we've gone in. It was me, Jez, Tom, and Shane Watson from SJAM. Right, that was our little crew in there. So they've all done our tests, and then they send you to your room to isolate for 24 hours while you wait for your tests. Why they've done that, I don't know, because we've all been like we was all with each other anyway. But they brought food to your door. You weren't allowed to leave your room. Could not leave your room, so you're stuck in your hotel room.
Before you move on from there, what was that like spending 24 hours in a room, not being able to do nothing, not being able to go out, do anything?
Do you know what? It was like home for me because, like I say, I spent days on my computer playing cards on my own, not talking to anybody. Like it was no difference. I actually really like time on my own. Like people aren't my favorite. People aren't my favorite creatures. So it was all right. But we was all on the WhatsApp and the FaceTime and whatever. So gets to the next morning. We've got a little WhatsApp chat. So they're like, obviously they know I'm a bit worried about getting positive and fucking it for everybody. Obviously, Jez is in a big fight. Tom's in a massive fight. So they all come through. Josh, got my result. Banging, meet you downstairs. Shane, bosh, negative, meet you downstairs. Tom, nice one, lads. Jez, they've all got their results. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I ain't got my result, lads. They're like, nah, they slide it under your door. Yeah. So I've got, lads, there's nothing under my door. Oh, don't worry, I'm sure it'd be there anyway. At the time, I know Shane pretty well enough. I didn't know Shane. I'd only just met him. Get a call from Shane. Sorry, mate, there's been a problem with your test. So I'm like, oh my, you can imagine now, like my whole body is just like head in hands moment. I fucked it for everyone, yeah. Even though I went and paid like 100 quid 2 days before to get my own test, I didn't want to mess it up. But in your brain, you're like, they convinced me. So he's like, I spoke to, can't remember who it was, matchmaker at Sky or whatever it was. I don't know if it was John Wish maybe those times. But he was like, you're going to have to do another test. Your test comes back inconclusive. Yeah. Which means that you've got to do another test and you've got to isolate for another 24 hours. If it comes back inconclusive or positive or inconclusive again, we will have to leave. The boys can't fight, yeah? So now I'm like, fuck this. Like, just pretend I wasn't here. I'll go out the fire exit. Like, get me out of here. Like, I'm having the horrors. I've got the sweats. I'm like, this is the most horrendous scenario. The dreaded scenario, yeah? So obviously, I'm now also thinking, fucking hell, I might have COVID. Yeah? So now my brain's like, one, I fucked it. 2, I might be dying of COVID. Yeah, because at the time it was new.
Mm.
I know obviously now it's come out that it's all a load of rubbish, most probably. But at the time, we were being told people are dying, people are sick. Like they put this whole scheme together where you had to have tests. People were wearing the PVC, the suits, and all that. So I'm sweating now. Like my temperature's through the roof, even though I wasn't ill. Convinced myself, probably fuck it, I've got COVID. So I'm lying now. I thought, fuck this, I'm getting in a cold bath. So I'm bollock naked now, lying in a freezing cold bath, just cooling down. And Josh is texting me. He's like, "Oh, mate, it's gonna be all right. Don't worry." And I'm like, "Mate, what are you talking about? Like, you brought me here as a favor for experience, and I fucked it for everybody." So they left it about 10 minutes. So I'm in this bath still. I'm thinking, what do I do? The old group FaceTime starts going. Yeah, so I'm like, dun, dun, dun. Everyone pops up in the screen, fucking obviously in hysterics, laughing at me like, "You've seen fat fuck. We ain't even got our results yet, you stupid prick." And I'm in the bath like that, like, oh, like, you know, like that the relief that come over my body. And I just said to him, I said, "I fucking hope one of you are fucking positive after this shit you put me through, man. You bastards."
Can you imagine, though, if you would have come back positive after that, though, as the only one? Like, you wouldn't have believed it.
Nah, fuck them anyway. And after they put me through that, yeah, I just thought, do you know what? If I am positive, they fucking deserve it, a lot of them.
Jinxing it.
So they knew that I was shitting myself, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to ruin it for everybody. It's my first show. It's a TV show." Like, you're walking through the halls and Eddie's there and all the other, like, who else thought that? Conor Ben headlined that show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a mad experience, like, to just be exposed to that on your first show. But yeah, we was all negative. And
I think you've got your fair share back. Obviously, I see a lot of the boys, speak to a lot of the boys in the gym now. You do your fair share of pranking now, as I see today.
no one's safe, man.
No one's safe. Well, I've been quite safe, so I'm all right.
Yeah, you haven't been down the gym enough.
Yeah, I'll stick to my sort of once a month visit.
Yeah, but you come in, you mooch around, you mostly sort of keep yourself to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't worry, when you get a bit of confidence, that's when you slip up. When you get too confident, you get exposed.
There won't be no confidence. I'll stay quiet. Hello, Aaron. How are you? Yes, okay. Hello, Josh. Yeah, all good over here, mate. Yeah, just watching.
Nah, I've got a plan for you anyway.
I dread to think. But let's move on, lastly, mate, to your stables. So, look, we've gone for it all: poker player, into the ring, to the UWCB. You then get your cutsman, your training, you're doing everything. You've now got a stable in there. Someone I want to mention because it's her birthday today.
Who's that?
You speak very highly of this girl.
Little Freya Chambo.
Yes. What are we saying?
Do you know what? She's like probably the hardest working boxer I've ever come across. Like, she's actually, so today is her birthday. She's only 15. She's part of her amateur setup, but sort of previous, because this is our first year in the amateurs. So previous to us opening Jab Boxing Amateur Club, I was just training her 1-to-1. Like, she come and she done the youth classes and stuff. But like straight away, I was like, Jesus, like you could just tell, like, you know, when you look at somebody and like, no, this kid's got something. So yeah, just started training her, and she's flying now, man. She's sort of she's fighting on Saturday actually, but
In Weymouth.
in Weymouth, yeah. She's like a fourth amateur bar, but she's going to she trains 6 days a week. She does 3 amateurs. She does 3 other days with me. She's got an S&C coach. She's got a nutritionist. Like, this is her life. Like, she's coming for it all, man. Like I say, she's still young. But like, remember the name.
She's got some admirers, isn't she? At least Scott and Gallagher speak very highly of her.
Listen, like I say, she's only young. She's just a kid. But there's not many girls like that have got. It's difficult until you see like other girls and other amateur girls on the circuits and stuff, and novices. Like I say, she's a complete novice. She's only been really in the gym properly a year, and only had 4 fights. So she's going to have a 4 fight on the weekend. But even like, we went down Finchley the other day, and like, you can just see Sean. We actually boxed one of the Finchley girls a couple of weeks ago, and Sean was just like, Jesus, like, I can't believe how much she's improved. And she did win the fight before, but it was a close fight. Fought a really tough girl, actually. And he was like, can't believe the improvement. But it's just down to the hard work, man, dedication. You know, this sport, like, it's the most unforgiving sport in the world.
100%.
So, yeah, man, you got to give everything to this, and she does. So That's it. We're very, very early stages, but remember the name.
I see her with you the other week, and obviously I'm very proud of what I do and what I achieve, and obviously I share the love for the boxers that I work with and friends and stuff. And I've got a good friend, Justin Johnson from Hunters, and I sent him the video, the reel you made of you and her on the pads, and I said, guess this girl's age and how long she's been boxing. And he said, I can't guess her age, but she's been doing it a while. And I said, mate, it's her first year. Like, it's crazy. I was shocked when I see her. But another one you've got, I don't want to forget everyone, so I'm going to go one by one and just briefly give us an update on how they are and what they're doing moving forward. The one and only Stay Ready.
Stay Ready.
Yes, what's happening?
Mr. Jerome Campbell. So Jerome is out March the 18th on a Goodwin show. So he's doing a 4-rounder. He's had sort of a little bit of time off. This is our first fight together. Good lad, Stay Ready. Good fighter. Talking of hard trainers, that kid is one dedicated guy, man. Like he's up there with the effort levels. And do you know what I love about Stay Ready, about Jerome, is he loves to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he's not an old fox in the game, but I think he's 31, 7-1. Boxed Nick Ball in a lockdown, I think, and that was his last fight. And then he had a son, and he had some time off, and he came to me about 4 months ago now. We've been working together 4 months. He's out March the 18th in a 4-rounder combat fight, and then hopefully we're looking sort of area title level in his next fight, really, and then pushing on from there.
I was going to mention titles, and then we talk about where we're going. Is it Nathan
Brown? Yeah,
Nathan Brown, good fighter.
Yeah, he is a good kid, man. Like he's actually got his board meeting in February, but he was quite a decorated amateur actually. I think he had 40 odd, winning most of them. Won the NABCs a couple of times. Still got that sort of amateur style, so we're just trying to slow him down and starting to sort of look at the game in a little bit of a different view. Which obviously. The pro game
super flyweight.
It'll be a super flyweight, yeah.
Good division, mate. Super flyweight, great division.
Yeah, it is. And do you know what? It's competitive for there's not loads of fighters in Britain at super flyweight, but the ones that are there, it's a pretty competitive, weight division. So, like I say, he's going to be a slow build anyway. We're going to get him out. Probably, I imagine. So he's managed by Michael. A foe, which is sort of got affiliation to Dillian White and stuff. So I imagine he'll sort of go probably if it's the small hall shows down on the black box shows, probably with Dean White. I'd imagine anyway.
Great show.
He's doing good stuff in the sport, yeah, and those shows are good. So that's exciting for him. So I imagine all going well with his meeting on Feb 2nd. He'll be out April time, I'd imagine.
Happy days, yeah. And then we move on to one of the most talented fighters, I think, in the last sort of 5 to 10 years that this country's seen that's never, I don't want to sound harsh, but not fulfilled their potential.
Say it as it is.
Yeah, not fulfilled their potential, not reached the levels that they should have. Still got time in the game. Mitchell Smith, what a fighter.
Mr. Mitchell Smith. Yeah, so Mitch came to me like a year or so ago, fat as a pig, 100 kilos, and he just wanted to just get fit. Do you know what I mean? He was doing some coaching, and I think it was Christmas time actually, and it was just like, do you know what? I fancy doing one of these unlicensed things. I can sell a few tickets, make a bit of money for Christmas. And I said, do you know, no worries. I'll help you with a few pads and that in and around the gym. Go off and do your thing. So I started getting ready for that, and I don't know. He was on some kind of show. I don't know what it was. I didn't really involve myself with the show and that. He was going to do that with somebody else, but I was helping him with the training, and the show got pulled, and he didn't actually end up fighting. But by that time, we were down at about 80-something kilos, so we'd done about 15 kilos. And he was like, do you know what? I fancy this. Like, you want to do it? And I thought, what have I got to lose? Like, someone of his experience and his knowledge, I can only learn from working with somebody like him. And we built up a great relationship as friends in the gym. And it was just fun. Do you know what I mean? It was easy. It just worked. Yeah, so we got him from sort of 100 plus kilos down to 65, which he had his comeback fight last year. And then unfortunately hurt his knee and then fell off his moped on the way to on the way to gym one day and snapped his ankle, which is obviously, yeah, like, how's your luck after all that effort? But I mean, he's still in and around, Mitch. He's waiting for a little bit more news from another scan. His weight's okay, and hopefully, pending good news from the scan, he should be out. I'd probably say in the next 4 months, sort of mid part of the year, to be safe. I think he will fight again, and I think he's got a good chance of coming back. We had a plan. We had a plan where we were going to build. We were going to do a 6. We were going to do N8. Then we were going to try and put ourselves in line to fight for something. Hopefully, once like the promoters on the bigger scene, seen that he was serious and he was doing things properly, and they start showing an interest again because they couldn't not because of how talented he is.
Yeah.
And then build from that way. But now, to be honest, because of the time frame he's going to have out, I reckon we'll probably have one back, and then we're just going to start calling people out.
Happy days.
We'll start calling people out, and he's going to jump in, and good luck to whoever he jumps in with. Like,
is there anyone that he's saying to you now that he'd fight tomorrow?
Nah, because it would be ignorant and stupid of us to start calling out people that we want to fight when we're waiting on results from a scan to see whether he's going to be able to fight in the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in start saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to fight this person, I'm coming this." It's all nonsense at the minute.
Yeah. No,
yeah. And we also don't want really people knowing. Do you know what I mean? If you want to fight somebody, I said to him, when we're ready and when you're ready, we can start calling out people, fights will be made. So there's no point calling anybody out now. Now they know that they're on your radar. They'll either want to avoid you or you're in their head now and they're ready to sort of say, all right, well, at some point I might have to fight him. Let me keep an eye on him. Let me see what's going on. So there's no benefit. But like, I think there will come a time he jumps in a big fight. And regardless, he's always got a chance, Mitchell, no matter who it is. The hardest fella I've ever padded in terms of punch power, like ridiculous for a wee little small man as he is. Yeah, but yeah, ridiculous. But yeah, listen, hopefully we can get over this hurdle and get back on the horse. But we'll see.
Fingers crossed for him, mate. And then the last two, I think I can say the names. Forgive me if I say it wrong. Valentin Mogos and Stephen. Yeah, and Stephen Leonetti.
Stephen Leonetti, the Raj something or other.
Wouldn't even attempt it. But we
know Val came from the kickboxing scene, and he tried to get a British license, and they turned him down just because he didn't have any amateur experience. Come from, I think he had like 30 or 40 kickboxing fights, which seems mental in the scheme of stuff. There's plenty of people out there with licenses that have nowhere near as experienced. But yeah, he went the hard route, went down the amateur route, and his style just really didn't suit the amateurs at all. And so he tried to go that route to get a license, and he ended up just getting licensed in Romania, which is where he's from. And he made his debut last year, got that out of the way. So now he's eligible to request a fight in the UK on his Romanian license. And think if everything goes well, that is March the 10th. Your
Good
call
show.
on the Lee Eaton show.
Banging.
So yeah, that's when you'll next be out. And Stephen, an Albanian Italian, lives in Italy.
Animal.
He's a good guy, man. He's a good fighter, Stephen. Like he hasn't had the momentum because of lockdown and stuff, and sort of the boxing scene in Italy where he lives isn't great. No one really wants to fight him because it's a high risk, no reward fight. Fighting somebody like him doesn't have a belt, and he is a good fighter. So we actually just got some news today. Maybe Feb 18th in Latvia.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. We're waiting for that. But yeah, we're hopefully he gets an opportunity on one of these TV shows. He's 9. I think he's 9-1, maybe. He's sort of like maybe 3 or 4 light heavyweight in Italy. Not that there's many of them. But I think he should have an opportunity at some point this year on the show.
Okay, happy days. And that is your stable besides the amateurs, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Mitchell, Jerome, Nathan, and the Buffalo Val, and the sweet sensation, Stephen. Yeah, it's good, man. The gym's buzzing. We're all working hard, ready for a big year. March, like I said at the start, is a mental time for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got 3 out. Josh has got, I think, almost every one of his fighters out. So yeah, March is going to be a busy one. But yeah, man, hoping for a big year.
Happy days. Going to hopefully be at a few of them shows. Obviously, there's one that's coming that isn't announced yet, which is massive, and I can't wait to be at that one.
Yeah.
And then we move on. But obviously, I'll be seeing you tomorrow down the gym.
Yeah, and we'll holler at our boy Boxing Royalty for all the merch, for all the fight merch and the training merch. Big up yourself for sorting out all the team with their training tops and that. Everybody loves them and stuff. So make sure you get onto Boxing Royalty for all your merch needs moving forwards. So
What a man! And if
top
you
guy,
need a man, this is your guy. There you
What's
go.
that?
I said, if you need a cut man, this is your guy.
You know that.
Or a trainer. If you're a fighter without a trainer.
No, I'm not taking no more fighters on, man.
No, you're done with fighters at the minute.
Nah. Do you know what it is? It's like, it's such a selfless game. Any boxing trainer will know there's nothing really in it other than love and like the passion of seeing your fighters do well and seeing them build and like being like a mentor type character to them. There's no money in boxing, man. Like, and unless you get to the top, then yeah. But for the majority of us, it's just for the love. And the sport gave me loads, so I'm happy to give back. And but also, what I don't want to do, I don't want to become liquidated through taking on loads and loads of fighters and not being able to give 100% of myself to every fighter I have. I feel like I was cheating them.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like all my fighters on a Sunday night, they get sent a schedule. Like they know what they're doing on every day. They know what we're trying to work on the pads, what bag routine they've got, what day they're sparring, what day their S&C is, what time. Do you know what I mean? So to do that for any more than what I'm currently doing would be a disservice, I think. So unless I lose any, which does happen, do you know what I mean? Boxers do decide to move on or stop boxing, or they find a different place to train. And yeah, for now, unless AJ wants to come and get involved.
I was going to say, AJ calls you ain't saying no, are you?
I'm not going to tell him that. The rest of them can fuck off. I'll keep Chainbow. I'll have Freya and AJ.
Freya and AJ, imagine that.
I'm only joking, boys.
What a great star. But listen, mate, anything else from you?
Don't think so, bro. No, thank you for having me on the channel. I know you're doing your thing and you're trying to build up and you're doing a good job. And you got some good people on the channel and stuff. The quiz you got me involved in was a bit rigged. I'm sure
you don't know what though, third, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did. It was a bit. Let's not talk about that. I'll collect my bronze and get off the channel.
Right, well, mate. Honestly, listen, fascinating. Like I said at the start, I listened to your interviews on IFL, and straight away I wanted to get you on as soon as possible. And it's lucky you reminded me to do that. But Arron, thank you very much, mate.
Love,
and everyone else listening, I appreciate you tuning in for another episode. And until next week, I'll see